Alright guys, Kremp here and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day. So far, OpTic have tried to put into words exactly what happens to mean that they're able to dominate Vancouver Surge in such a way that we have not seen for months, but also Karma revealing that the PC that Kenny and recently Skyz used has now gone kaput. They've had an issue with that PC that maybe has been brewing for quite some time. Skyz's recent performance turned around, it seems, as of last night. Was this a big factor in the reason why Kenny is no longer on that OpTic team? Very much intro to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. I don't think we've got any video footage of this, unfortunately. We've seen a few first pictures over the years by CDL players, and this was one last night that was actually pretty cool to see. So yeah, hopefully it all went well for Inside. And well, this guy in the reply says, I didn't even know this was happening, but he was obviously at the match, and here he is, having thrown the first pitch or whatever, right? So I'm assuming it went well. Inside's a pretty athletic guy, so I reckon it went to plan. This guy in the replies to Scrappy says he threw a heater, so take that as you will. But let's talk about the final series of last night that we couldn't cover yesterday because it was getting late, and that's Los Angeles Thieves versus the Miami Heretics. And this was a real interesting series. Look, they played on LAN and it was one-way traffic, right? Thieves dominated them. But here we are back online again, and Heretics played an incredibly impressive series. Now look, at the end of the day, does this series mean that much for, even either team on some level? Like, it's the final run of qualifiers. The big games are really between teams that are going to be fighting for good seeding for the major and also fighting for the World Championship. Thieves won't be too dissatisfied with this, but still, they just won the event a few days ago. They were expected to win this series again, and it's not like they didn't have their opportunities. They dominated the game 1. Envoy made a nice clutch in the game 2. They eventually lost the game 2, though, in this fashion. It was pretty wild. Look at this. Metals jumps out the window and midair just guns Ghosty off the head. Pretty remarkable stuff. Envoy eventually can't clutch the 1 versus 2. That's a 1-1 tied up game. As always, LA Thieves won the control. To be fair, this control was actually kind of interesting. It could have probably even gone either way. But yeah, Thieves in the end, as always, just a bit too strong. But then we went to a Hacienda hardpoint where Miami completely dominated them to set us up for a game 5. So look, we know that Miami, this is the team that they are. And hopefully they'll be this team for a long time. They can beat practically anyone when they play their best stuff. And, well, we see it. Even I think on LAN this is also possible. We've seen them make some deep runs over the last couple of tournaments, certainly Major 1 and Major 3. That is very true. And online, I think, who knows? They can do anything at any time, especially when Super is just this good at search. Look, if Super's going to drop 28 over 2 search maps, then just good luck. He dropped 12 on the game 1, and he dropped 16 kills on this final search and destroy. It was actually absurd. This also was like a joke that Thieves lost this round. There's 20 seconds on the clock here. Envoy's in this position. Ghosty's got the other pinch in. Surely there's no way you can lose it. Envoy gets a couple of shots in, so, pretty perfect. Now that means Ghosty theoretically can pounce on that one, but yeah, the timing isn't really ideal. Envoy gets chowed. Ghosty then gets shot in the side. Kind of remarkable play from Super here, I'm not going to lie. In this particular position, you can see number 8 Super on the map. Surely Ghosty's expecting that probably Super's on the bomb here, he's got to be defusing, right? But no, Super just waits in the corner with 10 seconds left and gets the absolute perfect timing to get the defuse in with 7 points. It was like an unreal play from Super there, really, to given that if he defuses the bomb, probably Ghosty checks it and he dies, but that's what Ghosty's expecting him to do. Super instead plays for a timing, and if he sits in that corner for 1 more second and Ghosty doesn't come in, then it's round over. They can't defuse in time. So, yeah, man, this Super guy just makes some crazy good decisions. Then the following round after this, Envoy had a 1v3, and then they lost the round 11 anyway. Super actually clutched a 1v1 for the round 11, so it doesn't get any more crazy than that, really. And yesterday's results were, everything was an upset in theory, right? Obviously, OpTic versus Surge, that was an upset. The other series were considered to be upsets as well. Octane wasn't very happy about Super just absolutely dominating performance, but, super impressive. It's obviously a talking point, the fact that Envoy, people clown him, right? Because a few weeks ago when he made the comment about, there's not enough talent in challenges, and to be fair, to be specific, really, his comment about talent in challenges was about, is there enough talent to expand the league, right? Is there 16, there's 16 more players worthy of a spot in the league? Not to say that there isn't talent in challenges, because, there clearly is. So I think Envoy's comments sometimes get a bit misconstrued, but obviously people are going to talk about it because he had a 0.8 this series and Super had a 1.3 with, 28 kills or whatever it was in the Search and Destroy over those couple of maps. So pretty wild stuff. Thieves could be an optimal loss. I don't know. You're not going to be undefeated for the major. Maybe that's part of the plan. But impressive for Miami, given where they were, making a couple of changes they've made, to now be in this position where they're able to beat Thieves and look like serious contenders is a mega turnaround for them. But as we say, the other big result last night in many respects was OpTic versus Surge, because it was critical for the World Championship and just OpTic trying to look back to form to some degree as well. So the guys talked about it quite a lot on stream last night, and there was even this comment where Karma, we hadn't really heard about this until now, when everything was completely atrocious, there was obviously talk about, okay, do we need to make more drastic changes? People have talked about Scump, right? But also, Karma, he's the coach of the team, legendary player, known to be an incredibly adaptable figure. We know that his wife Holly's always been trying to get him back into the scene, right, and playing again over the last several years. And they actually revealed last night that, yeah, when things were really bad, Karma at least thought about it and was like, look, if I get back in the server here and I grind for a couple of weeks, surely he'll be able to play again. And obviously he follows the game and coaches the team on a daily basis, so maybe the learning curve for Karma wouldn't be what it could be for, some of the other guys that we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks. That, of course, was never required to happen, but he did reveal kind of what he thinks is different between what they played yesterday and how they've played previously. Their comms, there did seem to be a bit of a different energy in the comms, but also he reckons in their Search and Destroy, they were actually thinking, right, rather than just, reacting instinctively based on what they were seeing and just running it down. They were actually thinking about what they did in Search, which is probably a good idea, to be honest. So it seems like they've got that locked up. But as he says, I'm not exactly saying it's lightning in a bottle, but Karma can't easily pin down exactly what changed. He reckons, look, we've kind of been looking like this, and this is the point that Shotzzy made, is that OpTic, at least behind the scenes in practice that we don't see anymore, those, they've looked like this, they've shown promise like this, they've just not revealed it in games until yesterday. So Karma's like, yeah, this, on some level, isn't a massive surprise. The question still is, though, okay, how do we harness that energy again going forwards and make sure that this doesn't become a one-off?
Where did that come from?
I don't know where it came from, but we need a lot more of that. DB4 joining us. The Miami crew's back.
What's up, DB4?
DB4. That was crazy.
That's got to feel real nice.
That was dominant.
That was dominant.
That was honestly perfect. Map 1 was beautiful. Map 2, I love the patience in Search, not jumping the gun with numbers. Even in a 4v1 against Neptune, they're sitting in corners playing crossfires. Beautiful, beautiful series from the boys.
That looked like a new team, Damon. That was beautiful to watch, man.
I mean, I hate to say it, but we've kind of looked like this. It was, I don't know. For some reason, it fucking worked today in the match.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The scrims have been going well?
I mean, yeah, I'd say they have been.
So we just got to get it done in the match, and they do it today. That was dominant, man. Everybody was shooting. Everyone was playing their lives.
No, that was great. It was good to see.
Yeah,
it was really good to see.
Great start to the stage against a great team. But I picked Surge this morning, and Caesar was in my chat, and he said, all right, I'm going to get there extra early, shoot some more bots. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes all it takes is a little fire, man.
Let's go.
I actually thought, I don't know, I feel like when we play, I feel like our hard points, we match up pretty well normally.
Against
these guys?
Yeah. Well,
I feel like they kind of have a set way, and hey, maybe today was the perfect storm. I don't know, but I feel like the guys were reading them and playing them how they should. No, I mean, they did much better because I said to them, I mean, I feel like they're so much better when they actually get a chance to think and search. If you looked at us versus Boston compared to that, we looked like we weren't thinking at the major.
Well, yeah,
we were just banging the hall over and over, and like I said to them, I was like, it'd be different if you're reacting to what they were doing, you saw what they were doing every round.
Yeah.
But we just kept running at them.
Yeah.
So you're really not giving yourself a chance doing that.
Well, even in number scenarios, they would get a blood and then run it down for some reason. It's that match, they get their numbers and then just pause.
Yeah,
and wait, not get a bad timing, make sure everything.
They're definitely trying to make it better.
That looked way better.
Yeah.
Like, way, way better. I mean, the only rounds that we lost were... Our B retakes were great. The only rounds we really lost were where they just either double blood us off the round or that one round where they swam behind us on the rock pinch. That was like...
We've never talked about this, Damon, but JP.
What's up?
Had 4 rings been fucking playing consistently some Call of Duty, he would have been the perfect fill-in, right?
100%.
I swear to God, you know,
100%.
You know, I was, and then he said I would.
Bro, I swear, dude, he was even saying this like a few weeks ago. Obviously, when we were, or whenever we were in the rut, he was like, "Give me 2 weeks. It can't be that hard."
Yeah.
He's like, "It cannot be that hard."
Why don't you tell me that he said that so I could have egged him on the side and shit? I love that sort of stuff. That's I mean,
I think it would have been doable.
HyDra was pushing it too. HyDra always pushes.
She always does.
Yeah.
She always does.
That's
Why aren't you playing?
Yeah. Well, you should listen to what? You need a PC?
Yeah, because that one broke.
What about which one broke?
The one I was telling you about.
Dude,
So we only have the 5 now.
The Ken Caesar one had a SSD failure.
I can't believe that they haven't updated the PCs in 4 fucking years.
4 or 5? One of the two.
It's 8?
Yeah, they're from the Overwatch League.
Are they really?
Yeah, 2018.
The big drama, though, really, is around this PC, because many of the players, especially even Kenny, mentioned this after he was moved to the Rocker. And look, has Kenny been spectacular on Rocker? No, but he's been much better. Like, his numbers are significantly better than they were in OpTic. And it is interesting to think about the fact that Kenny, Skyz... Look, you might not like Skyz on this game, and, you know, I'm not going to try and change your mind on that. But at the end of the day, those two guys are world champions and excellent ARs back in the day, and still, I would say, to the present day, to some degree. Depends on the game, depends on the title, it is what it is. The point being, though, that their KDs on OpTic so far this year, maybe it's changed after yesterday's series with Skyz going off, but their KDs, both Kenny and Skyz, were 0.85, basically, this season. When Kenny was there, that was the case. When Skyz joined, that was also the case, and it's not changed much over the last couple of weeks. So, did that say anything, right? Maybe, but possibly not. Kenny, though, after joining Rocket, did mention that the PC that he was on, they had their questions about it, and it is interesting the timing on this, right? Because it's only been over the last couple of weeks. There's been lots of discussion, because I also cover what's going on in Valorant, and in European Valorant, their PCs were so out of date that they were stuttering and it was causing all sorts of issues, and they literally couldn't even play the games. The PCs were so bad. They finally upgraded to modern equipment rather than using PCs that are like 5 to 6 years old. These PCs that the guys are using here are from the Overwatch League. Like, these PCs are 6, 7 years old, something in that kind of ballpark. And look, Scrappy's complaining about it a lot. Does the league have the money that Riot Games have to actually replace the bars? I don't know. It'd be nice if they did, but it doesn't seem like it's changing for now. Now, I'm not a technical expert on this type of stuff. I saw lots of debate on this SSD failure, right? Because if there was a problem with the SSD, what would it cause? Would it cause stuttering? Would it cause the game to crash? But would it cause performance issues? I think that's the key point, because if there's stuttering, if there's 1% lows, then yeah, that's an issue. But, you know, if it's not actually affecting performance, but it's affecting playability, as in, like, if the game crashes or not, then maybe it's not quite the same deal. I'm not really sure, like I'm not qualified to judge what an SSD failure would do. I'm sure you guys are going to have your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, I'm sure that there are nuances to it. And probably the true answer is it depends on what the outcome would actually be. But the point still stands that there is a theory that Kenny's PC was kind of cooked when he was on OpTic, and now Skyz is using a different one and potentially having some better results with it. Did that affect his season? Did that affect Kenny's performance? I don't know, but history is history. The changes have been made. I guess people might wonder, though, like, well, if OpTic don't go so well until the end of the season, do they bring Kenny back? Like, you know, I kind of doubt that, but I guess we'll see how time goes. These are the games of today. So we've had 7 games so far this weekend. Yesterday was already full of surprises. Today shouldn't be, but I think there are some very compelling series. So Miami should handle business against Gentlemates. Cloud9 Ultra is very interesting, right? Because Ultra, they beat the Ravens the other day, but Beans had a 0.7, right? So there's a lot of talk right now about Merc and Beans. Beans kind of needs a bit of a good series, but also Cloud9 need to win, right? Because OpTic are pulling away in the championship race. Cloud9, they got their win against Falcons. I mean, really, they need to get another 10 points on the board here. That would be massive for them. Can they do it? Yeah, I think they can. Will they? No, I'm going to lean Toronto's way still in 5, but I'm going to say that it's going to be a close series. And then FaZe Thieves gets real fascinating after yesterday's result. Thieves going down to Miami. They don't want to be in an 0-2 hole on the weekend. It means your seeding for the major isn't going to be as optimal. So, you know, obviously Thieves will want to bounce back. Scrappy versus Drazah, always going to be a good time. FaZe looked a bit better the other day, but still, their hardpoint was shaky against Surge, and that was a Surge team that just got 3-0'd by OpTic. So, I'm going to take Thieves. I'm thinking Thieves. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
I'm not going to lie, though. COD does feel fun after you don't play it for a while. This shit is fucking ass. What am I playing right now, actually? Fucking teammate.